second reader on Monday.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes that bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you,
Councilwoman
colleagues.
Ramos, for introducing that bill and for working through the amendments. We will now get moving on to the next bill, which is City Council Bill 22-0247, Obstructing Street Racing or Stunt Driving. This is a bill that I introduced with support of many of my colleagues. And the purpose of this bill is that we see every weekend and many times throughout the week there are car clubs and others who are conducting aggressive stunt driving on the streets of Baltimore and also on, we see it private property also. And what we're frequently seeing is hundreds of cars coming into the city, high rates of speed, blowing through red lights, ignoring all traffic laws, shutting down streets, doing donuts in intersections. This behavior, reckless behavior, has led to the destruction of city property, private property, and it also poses serious safety hazards. In my district, where this behavior occurs quite often, is right up the street from a hospital, which ambulances have had a hard time getting past these streets that are completely blocked off for this reckless behavior. And so currently, to date, the laws on the books have been nominal on what can actually be done, minor traffic violations, nothing too serious. And when looking at best practices across the country and speaking to other jurisdictions on how they handle it, what I've discovered is that many of the other jurisdictions simply chase these car clubs out of their jurisdictions, and they end up in Baltimore City. And so now this bill aims to make it very clear that Baltimore City is no longer the low-hanging fruit that you can come and conduct this reckless behavior. We're going to have stiff penalties. The stiffest penalties allowed by Baltimore City law, and that's what my bill aims to do. In addition to that, it also makes it very clear what is not allowed. And so oftentimes traffic violations are against the car or against the driver of the car. This bill states very clearly who's considered an active participant versus non-active participant. So if you just happen to be driving down the street and the street's closed off because of this and you're stuck, you are not an active participant. However, if you are a passenger of a car that is doing donuts in intersections, if you are standing in the middle of an intersection as cars are doing donuts around you and you're videotaping it, you are an active participant. And all that's explicitly stated in the bill. In addition to that, when this behavior has occurred in my district and I go out there each time it happens, I've heard that there's been some ambiguity about what is considered allowed and not allowed. And so we've made it very clear on page 3 in the bill. There's a whole section on doing donuts and what that means. And so it's clearly defined what it means to do donuts. And so those people who continue to do donuts in the intersections of Baltimore City, hopefully if this bill passes today, will be subject to $1,000 fines as well as up to 12 months imprisonment. This is a serious problem that has serious consequences. It's a life safety issue, and so that's what we're aiming to do. And so I will go agency by agency and see what each agency thinks, and then we will proceed to questions from the council. And so I see DOT in front of us. Liam?
We're good, Richard. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in general, we stand by our bill report, which is no objection. In addition to that, I do want to say that we are very close partners at Baltimore City Department of Transportation with the Baltimore City Police Department. Most notably is our partnership with our automated enforcement program. That's probably going to be the most relevant kind of initiative to this conversation. As everyone here is aware, Automated enforcement includes our school zone speed zone camera, or school zone speed enforcement cameras, which are located within half mile of a school. Our red light cameras, our truck enforcement cameras, and more recently, our I-83 speed camera program. That is a project that we've been working extremely closely on with BPD. We have had bi-weekly meetings for the past year planning that out. I do think racing was a problem on 83 when we put the test camera out in March of 2020. The highest recorded speed during that test phase was 173 miles per hour. During the warning period, we haven't seen it that fast, but we have caught cars going over 100 miles per hour. So the warning period's over, $40 citation started July 13th. So that's obviously a way that DOT can work with our partner agencies like BPD to address the aggressive driving, address the speeding. Additionally, when we talk about complete streets and traffic calming, you'll notice a lot of times with our quick build traffic calming that includes the flex posts and paint, and our hardscape construction where you're doing the bump outs that are cement, you're really making it harder for cars to go through the intersection at a faster rate. Sometimes we'll get complaints and concerns from constituents forwarded from your offices where people are like, it's harder for us to make a turn now. And it's like, well, that's by design. It's designed to slow you down. So as we implement complete streets, it's not really directly focused at stunt driving and street racing, but I do think it can help mitigate as we roll that out across the city. The last point I want to say is we do have traffic enforcement officers. The one thing to keep in mind about our traffic enforcement officers is they do not have the authority to enforce moving violations. So they're strictly parking violations, kind of helping with congestion and directing traffic and helping pedestrians navigate our roads during very largely attended special events. So long story short, we have no objection to the legislation. We'll continue to work with our partners at Baltimore City Police. And thank you for assigning this bill for us to weigh in on. Thank you.
You got any cameras to catch people doing donuts?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I'll let Michelle take that one.
All right, BPD.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Michelle Wurzberger. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Baltimore Police Department. Mr. Chairman, thank you for introducing this bill, and thank you all who are supporting it. This gives us another tool in the toolbox, and it makes it less attractive of a jurisdiction to come and play in a way that is dangerous and disruptive, frankly. The reason, so I want to talk a little bit about what he was kind of leaning into, is that we have been doing a lot of work around this automated enforcement. It allows us to have the greatest impact on bad activity. And it allows us then also to hold people accountable if they're speeding, if they're not stopping at red lights. And so as we've been talking about this sort of activity, one thing that has come up time and time again is, can we use cameras, infrastructure that we have all over the city, to then look at the tags, the vehicle tags, and then issue them a corresponding citation for that bad activity? Because as you might imagine, and you've probably seen some of the footage, that sometimes there are hundreds and hundreds of vehicles there. And it just, even if we had the manpower to go and kind of surround them all, we still wouldn't be able to get everybody. But that would give us an opportunity to do that. And so we have talked with MOGR, we've talked with DOT about pursuing that in state legislation this upcoming session. So we will definitely keep you updated on that, because we would want you to come out and support it. I know Chairman Conway came and supported a couple of bills, and certainly this is right up your alley to Chairman Schleifer. Another thing I wanted to just kind of put out there, because I know Chairman and I talked about this many months ago, is there was a bill before the legislature, SB 612, that sought to go after this, and they call it exhibition driving, because that's what it is. You know, these folks are there trying to get attention. They want to get, you know, have people take their video and have it posted and get likes, and I'm a little bit too old for all of that, but I think that's generally how it goes. But this bill added other tools, so it would have allowed us to, and it was fashioned off of a bill that actions they took in Ocean City when this became a huge problem many years ago. They found success with it. One of the biggest tools that was beneficial to Ocean City was they were able to tow the vehicles of the bad actors. You know, so it's one thing if you get a fine, you know, a couple weeks later, but if they take your vehicle on the spot, like that's really saying something. It also gave us the ability to give people points, up to 12 points for different types of, between 8 and 12, depending on what they were actually doing. We supported it, it moved, it passed, and then the governor vetoed it. Part of, in his explanation, there were some amendments made to water it down. One of the amendments required that in order for the police to take any of the enforcement activity, it had to, there had to be at least 2 vehicles engaging in this exhibition driving. Sometimes, most of the time there are. Sometimes it's just one idiot. Excuse me, I probably shouldn't have said that. But who's acting in a dangerous way, but also being very disruptive. We should still be able to take their vehicle and and enforce against them. So. If they don't do a veto override, we will be, very aggressively supporting this bill again, because I'm sure it's going to come back up. This is an issue not just in Baltimore City, it's all across the state. It's even in Philly, from where I'm from. So I just want to kind of give you an idea of the things that we're working on, the ideas we have, and kind of where we're coming from on this. So bottom line is we absolutely support the bill, and we are very appreciative that you put it in, sir.
Thank you. And I know we discussed this also and looked into possibly doing points and other things, and obviously the law department told us we don't have jurisdiction, and of course, as everybody knows, I try to make sure we listen verbatim to everything the law department says, and so we couldn't include that in the bill. Next up, Solicitor's Office. I guess if you can unmute Hillary.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that. I've had some technical issues with WebEx today. This is Hillary Ruley from the city's law department, and we completely agree with you, Mr. Chair. We wish that we could approve these creative uses, but they've got to go to state law. That being said, this bill, as written, can be approved, and it's the most forceful thing we can do until state law is changed for some of the other solutions. So we approve the bill for form and legal sufficiency.
All right, thank you. Department of Finance. Can you mute Hillary?
Hi, Bob Sanamy, representing the Department of Finance. We looked at this bill from a fiscal perspective. We don't think there will be much impact when we see bills like this, that they're meant to be a deterrent. We don't count on getting more money for it, but we don't object to the bill. We think it is an additional tool to have for enforcement, so we do not object to the bill.
Okay, thank you. Parking Authority.
Thank you, Fran Bernzinski with the Parking Authority. We reviewed the legislation and have no objection. We don't see any impact on our operations. Thank you.
Thank you. Fire Department. Nina.
We have Kim on, but
Who do you got?
all right. Nina Themelis, Mayor's Office of Government Relations. We do have Kim Washington on from the fire department virtually, but I'm not sure if she's able to speak.
Kim. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Kim Washington on behalf of the Baltimore City Fire Department. We defer to the Baltimore Police Department, have no other objections to this bill.
All right, colleagues, any questions? Nope. All right. Do we have a motion to move this bill favorably?
Second.
Moved by Conway, seconded by Ramos. Can we get a roll call?
Okay. One technical question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Can we have authority if we need to have legislative reference conform the two versions of the bill in
Okay.
the title? Okay.
So, I mean, so we'll be clear, we're moving forward with bill number 22-0247, obstructing street racing and stunt driving. What's the other one you have there?
In another,
That's passing.
it's obstructing street motor vehicle.
And also obstructing motor vehicles. So there's two versions of how it was written out, but we're just combining it on the title.
Everything else is identical, including the purpose clause.
Correct. Okay.
All right, ready for a roll call?
Yes, sir.
Chair Schleifer?
Does that need to be? Hold on a second. Hillary, do we need to amend it since there's two versions on the title? Can you unmute her?
Hi. Yes. Obviously, these would be technical amendments to just combine it. So, whatever legislative reference thinks is the best way to write up those technical amendments would be fine. And then if your committee wants to note it that on people's desks on second reader will be these amendments, that's fine. Or if you feel like you can easily write them out or know what they are right now, you could pass them right now. Either way would work. And again, it's just technical. So however the committee wants to do it is fine.
Okay, so if needed, we'll do a floor amendment, but I stated both words of the titles and the bill number for the record, and so if we need to do a technical on second reader, we'll do that. So we'll just proceed with the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Chair Schleifer?
Yes.
Chair Schleifer votes aye. Mr. Burnett?
Yes.
Mr. Burnett votes aye. Let me do Mr. Costello?
Is he frozen?
Mm-hmm. Not a fancy guy like you.
There he is.
Mr. Costello?
Can't hear you.
He's on the phone. We'll come back to him. Vice President Middleton?
Yes.
Vice President Middleton votes aye.
Go back to Costello.
Mr. Costello? I can make you chair with him.
Just put your thumb up. All right, there you go. He voted aye with his thumb.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Mr. Costello votes aye. Member Ramos?
Yes.
Member Ramos votes aye. Mr. Torrance is absent. Mr. Conway? Aye. Mr. Conway votes aye. Mr. Chair, there are 6 votes in the affirmative, no negatives. We can go to second reader on Monday evening.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes the Rules and Legislative Oversight Committee. We are now adjourned. Thank you.
Good. How you doing? Oh, that's amazing. These are for you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? 2 signatures.
With myself. Oh my God. I know. Right. Oh, but still. That's good.
I'm telling you, and I
Yeah.
think everyone's fired up. Gotta make sure you count them
Oh my God.
Of some amount of destruction.
It's actually scarier than Trump.
Yeah, kids would love to.